Hello, welcome to this video. I get asked a lot of time which software is right for a particular business. And there's a lot of times when actually QuickBooks, Xero, Sage, doesn't matter what conversation we're having, are all on feature parity. And what that means is that it doesn't matter what you do on one software, you pretty much replicate on the other. But there are certain elements where that feature, that solution that business need isn't actually going to be relevant on each of the software. And one of those ones that comes up on a regular basis is the idea of expense management. Now, for most businesses, this isn't relevant, but for some businesses out there, you may have like, say, a financial director or a bookkeeper or someone who just basically runs the actual bookkeeping side. And I don't just mean by actually recording the bookkeeping, but making payments and making sure suppliers are paid on time and all things like that. Now, if they've got that power, but they're not the owner of the business, that is sometimes the case where, you know, the owner itself has employed this bookkeeper or financial director to basically take that burden off their hands, then you really want to put in a solution where you can get those payments to be approved, especially if they're over a certain amount of value. Now, as a great example of this, and something that could be really useful to try and understand, is if you've got your financial director who can pay anything that's, say, under £500, no problem whatsoever, but everything above needs to get prior approval, then really you want your software to help you with that. Now, this is a solution where something like Xero has it built directly in, whereas QuickBooks doesn't have that functionality directly in the software. And we've got to think outside the box a little bit to be able to achieve that. And honestly, this is one of the scenarios where I would actually sometimes push my clients to Xero rather than QuickBooks if that functionality is absolutely mission critical for them. So join me in this video as we go and look at ways in which we can't natively do expense management, but we can make sure that we can have an option to do expense management within a reasonable degree of accuracy. Let's have a look. Hello, my name is Patrick. I'm a chartered accountant, a certified UK trainer with a fancy new logo, that QuickBooks chap on the internet, and also head of accounts here at Boffix. Now, in today's video, we're going to be talking about how expense management can pretty much be created in QuickBooks, but it's not perfect. It's not natively part of QuickBooks, and we will have to be using a bit of jiggery-pokery, a bit of opportunity to be able to actually make it work. So let's have a look and find out exactly how that can be done. Now, the first solution, as always, will be to look at your apps options. So if I went to www.apps.com, and from there we can put in expense, and we do have a lot of options here. Expense is one of the OGs, really useful, great way of being able to actually manage expenses and keep it up to date. Not quite what we're looking for. That's more about making sure your employees' expenses are created correctly. But there is options there to get an approval solution there. But you'll find that like things like Approval Max is a great way of automating that solution for you. So okay, you can look at the apps and you can try and find them. And if you keep subscribed to this channel, it's definitely something we're going to be looking in more detail at. Is a lot of these apps, there's a lot of options out there that could be useful for us to go through. But what can we do inside the product? Well, the first solution I would say is if I go to accounts and settings, I go to expense, purchase orders, and make sure purchase orders are turned on, we can use purchase orders as a kind of expense management solution. So bear with me on this one, because this isn't what it's designed to do, but it is definitely we can. So let's say British Telecom, I wanted to go in and I wanted to get an approval on something that's really quite expensive, a little bit out of tilt for what we would normally buy. Maybe it's something, you know, we're going to upgrade something quite substantial, and we're getting a dedicated line, you know, which is £10,000, for example. Now, I've created this, first of all, as a purchase order, and it's not quite a purchase order because ultimately we're not really doing purchase orders here. But what I can do though is I can save that onto the system. That means that purchase order is sat there. And if I go and look at my suppliers area, you can see I get a nice little control because at the moment I've got one purchase order outstanding. Now, from this purchase order, I do get the chance to create an expense or a bill directly from it. And I can go into there and I can use this as an option to be able to maybe send that to my to the person who's approving it, and they could maybe email back to say approve, something like that. And I do have the option to use attachments, maybe memo, message, supply, them sort of things, as a way to be able to say that, yes, I'm happy that that has actually been approved. Again, it's not perfect. There are definitely better ways out there, but we do have this option over here to say if it was open or closed. So maybe if it's never going to be approved and they reject it, I can close it and that's gone for good. Whereas I then did open it and did send it over, then that could then be my option of being able to approve it. Again, it's not perfect, but it is a way where you can email out to say your approval, ask them to do it. Again, it's not the perfect way of doing it, but it is a way that you can actually have some sort of control in place to be able to make sure that everything's all working as intended. And if I do get to accept it, I just press create bill and I'm straight into having that bill created, maybe put some sort of attachment on, save and close, and we're good to go. Now, the big problem about this one is you may already be using purchase orders for other parts. And again, purchase order isn't really the right thing to use, but it is a workaround that you can think about, utilizing. All right, so what else have we got? So again, let's try and bring that particular transaction back up again. Let's look at other ways we can get this approved. Now, I could create the bill here, but I've not officially made the payment yet. And there are ways where we can use tags, location, or classes to be able to achieve that. Now, location does have the option for us to maybe put some options here of waiting for approval and approved. And the nice thing about locations is the fact that I can flick between them and I can choose which ones are going to. So at any point I can use this location thing to say, right, okay, waiting for approval at this point. That means I'm going to have to use some sort of third-party solution to talk to the approvee. So maybe it's a case that I need to maybe print this out, send it via Teams or Slack or something. And then when they do get the approval, again, use my attachments area to prove that they've approved it, and then be able to go from waiting approving to approved ready to pay. You can even have approved paid as well, and that can be your control settings there. Again, this works really well. You get that drop down box, so it means that you're consistent, goes quite nicely, but it can be a bit difficult for the approvee to be able to go and find that solution for you. Another thing you can use is the new tag system. And you can have it in the exact same opportunity. You can put it in groups as well, so you can group the whole approval process and have a nice little tag system there. So now that that's been saying as waiting for approval, the nice thing about using tags is if I jump into my tag section, I can see, or the approvee can see at any point which items are sat there waiting to be approved. And then they can go in there and they can remove that tag and say approved. The other good thing is the audit trail, especially if you're going to be using the locations. Unfortunately, this doesn't work for tags, but audit history, go into there. Everyone's happy. And there we have it, a nice little look at how the approvals can be done in QuickBooks Online. Again, it's not perfect, it's not native, but there are ways around it when you start thinking about it. But ultimately, I think this makes a real good decision to you of, do you want to be using QuickBooks Online, or should you be using Xero or some of the others? Or do you need to use a third-party application to make your thing work? Now, I do know in the US, the advanced version of QuickBooks Online does have a whole expense management solution. So that might be something that we wait around for the UK, for that to come over, and then that could be the solution ready and waiting to go. Wait and see on that one. The bits I've used in America looks absolutely brilliant, looks exactly what we want it to be, but we'll wait and see how that's going to go going forward. My name's been Aaron Patrick. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure to do this video for you. Don't forget to comment down below if there's anything that you think would work for approvals, anything I've missed, any other third-party solution you think would work really, really well. And don't forget also to like, share, subscribe, all that jazz to the channel. We've done really, really well, and I really thank you to each and every one of you who's followed, liked, subscribed, and everything else. The channel's going from strength to strength, so thank you very, very much. My name's been Aaron Patrick. It's been an absolute pleasure to do the video for you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now. I told him I can be a fighter if you want. I'll be there to catch you if you fall. I can make it brighter when it's dark, I told him I would do it all for you, and I know you do it for me too. I can be a fighter if you want, I can be a fighter, I can be a fighter if you want, I can be a fighter if you want. All the way that I feel
everything's feeling new. Even if we stay in bed, my heart is saying yeah, 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 yeah. You know I want him na 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 na. My heart is saying yeah, 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 yeah.
Hello and thank you for watching that video. What you may not know is this channel that you've watched this video from is part of a wider group. That wider group is called Apple Core Production, and the 3 channels that we have involved are as follows: Aaron Patrick the QuickBooks Chat, Boffix Tax Tip. Finally, we have Apple Core Live and Geeky. All the links and everything are down below in the description, but it really means a lot to us if you can go and give a like to the other channels as well.